So we all know in the modern society now with so-called freedom and so-called democracy, but that's all well and good. But in the majority of cases, it's on paper pretty much. What I mean is in the constitution that you have God-given rights to your freedom of speech, your freedom of opinion, your freedom to assembly, etc., etc. There's nothing really that can stop you. Obviously, there's limitations in terms you can't go around threatening people and stuff. I think that goes without saying. But what I'm trying to say is, in society now, we see an attack on free speech across the whole Western world. And in Ireland, that's no different in the Western world. Even in Ireland, it's actually even worse to be done. They're told to shut people up as much as they can. And that's true for the civil service, particularly, and the government agencies. Anybody that has any different opinion is shut up and told to be quiet. Uh, Take, for example, I was told when I left secondary school I could get a nice good job, a nice cushy job in Dublin, if I kept my mouth shut, pretty much, what I'm trying to say. Because I'm going to give my opinion, regardless of if I have a big job or have a low job. Again, my job was cleaning the streets, I don't really care. You couldn't go really any lower than that, so I'm going to say my God-given right, as God gave me to speak my mind, to speak what I think. Because that is freedom, that's what people fought for, that's what my great-grandmother fought for. In Cunnaman was hiding weapons, hiding people that were running away from the Black and Tans. A safe house for Irish rebels fighting the Black and Tans, fighting the British occupation of this country to secure our freedom. I'm sure she didn't want people in after she left this planet to her generation afterwards to be censored, to be told what to say, when to say, and how to do it, and what to do. And this is the thing. And I would say to people, money doesn't matter. So that money's only an object. Your freedom and your opinion matters more than an object, because money's just an object. When you, as I say, and this is the good thing about life, I suppose, in a way, and what it shows is you come into this world with nothing, and you leave this world with nothing. You could have a nice coffin, you could have a nice fancy funeral, but at the end of the day, you go to the next world with nothing. But at the same time, it's what you do on this planet, and the way I see it, it's what you do on this planet that defines you. And that means standing up for what's right. And to hell with finances and stuff like that. What is right for the next generation is what we do. And that's my point. Because freedom of speech is under attack. Freedom of opinion, freedom of everything is under attack. And it's under attack because the sinister means of a government across the Western world. It's about silence opinion. It's about demonizing people. And when we start demonizing people for their opinion, it goes down a very dark track. And it's important that we keep our freedom of speech because, again, governments don't want people to speak freely. Corporations don't want people to speak freely because it's no benefit to them, pretty much. It's as long as you toe in their lines. They don't care after that. But they do care, of course, that if you're going against the narrative. And majority of people in the Western world now are going against the government's narratives and don't trust the state. And rightly so, to be told, and nobody's denying it. When you look at all the evidence of, particularly in Ireland, you put two and two together very quickly, that the state doesn't give a shit about you or your family or whoever. It's like they're not even trying to hide it, what I'm trying to say. Beforehand, they tried to hide it a bit. Nowadays, it's just in the open. But as I say, the cost of freedom, even for people like myself, who put your face on social media, who say your opinion, because again, I'm well known for being very vocal. I could, as I say, I could have got high jobs in Dublin, sitting on a big salary, €1,000 a week, more maybe, big huge expenses, allowances. But at the same time too, and again, it all goes back to this: it's about your sense of purpose, and it's about your sense of morality. Do you take the money and be silent and say nothing and just follow orders? Or do you go and speak your mind and speak freely, as God intended you to do? And I think the opposite, as I say, because I could have went down that road, but I decided to speak freely and not to be afraid, because that's why I do this YouTube channel too. Because it's important, particularly as a young person. It's important that the next generations to come, be able to do that, because I'm able to do it now, but who knows in the next 10 years, will they be able to do it? The people that are only being born that are 1 or 2 years old now, will the future generations be able to speak their mind? These are all questions we have to worry about, because in a few years, in 20 years, in 30 years, we never know where I could be, or where anybody could be. But we owe we fight every day for the children that come before and come after us. But as I say, the cost of freedom of speech is a lot. We see throughout our history too people who spoke their opinions, what happened to them. And it's important that we keep doing it, because if we don't use, it's the same as many people say about the post offices in Ireland. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it's the same with freedom of speech. But I deem it as a purpose. People have a purpose. And it's more than a moral purpose. It's a hard to describe it, but that's the way I see it, I suppose, more than, and I suppose in myself in a way too, that it's a more higher being than a purpose, if that makes any sense. That, if you're going to do something on this planet, you have to try and do something to keep this alive, keep free speech alive, keep democracy, keep the whole ideas of the people who went out and fight for this country in 1916 during the War of Independence, before that even. And it's important to remember that, and it's important to keep in mind. But there is a cost, and I do think we have to always talk about that. But as I said, the cost of freedom is high, but it's the price you're willing to pay, because it's important. On that note, I just want to say, to people, they always speak your mind, like regardless of what it is. Not to be afraid, because I see far too many, when I was saying about the civil services, I see far too many people who are in government jobs and stuff, they know things are wrong. They know what the government's telling them to do is wrong, and they shouldn't be doing it. But they're too afraid of losing their job. They're too afraid of losing their money. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, do the right thing. It's now about doing the right thing. Because taking the devil's money is no use to anybody. It's about doing the right thing, and I do think that's the most important thing. Not thinking about yourself, thinking about the right thing. But there's many other things, you could go into philosophy and stuff about it, but that's the way I see it. So let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.